Have you ever heard the phrase, perfect love casts out fear? It comes from 1 John chapter 4, verse 18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. It's a relatively popular verse, but have you ever stopped and asked yourself, what does that even mean? That's a good question to ask, and so I want to answer that question for you in today's boardie. What does perfect love casts out fear actually mean? Well, if you just leave this verse all by itself, its meaning becomes so generic you end up arriving at hasty conclusions, like that love is the solution to every fear. No. 1 John isn't giving you a magic formula to cure everything you're afraid of. Instead, it's offering you one concrete way to confirm you're actually saved. Don't believe me? Let's take a look. Despite what some might believe, verse 18 doesn't picture fear in a vacuum. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, for fear has to do with punishment. Meaning, 1 John is addressed to people who are afraid of punishment. But what kind of punishment? Verse 17 says it's eternal punishment, God's day of judgment. 1 John isn't dealing with a group of people carrying around a mixed bag of phobias. It's concerned with professing Christians who are scared they're going to hell. So the real question becomes, how can you find peaceful assurance of salvation? 1 John gives the answer in verse 16. Whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him. By this is love perfected with us, so that we may have confidence for the day of judgment. Love is the answer. If you have love, you gain assurance you're saved. And if you gain assurance, you lose your fear of judgment. Our phrase in verse 18 sums it up perfectly. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. It's perfect love that erases any fear of judgment. But this leads us to a very important question. What is perfect love? Verse 12 defines it for us. If we love one another, God abides in us, and his love is perfected in us. God's love perfected in us means his love has reached its ultimate purpose. God didn't love us so we could just sit idly by. He loved us through Christ so we would love one another. Perfect love, then, is the full extension of God's love, expressed in and through our love for others. And here's the kicker. Nothing drives out fear of judgment faster than realizing your love for others comes from God's love for you. And that is what perfect love casts out fear is all about.